Before the first line is spoken, before any face appears, there is a sound. Not music, not a voice, but a breath. Cold, shallow, fragile. It whispers across a frozen wasteland like the last exhale of a dying world. The screen is almost still. Trees stand like tombstones. The river lies motionless, yet heavy. The snow falls slowly, like ash after a fire that burned everything. And then we hear it. A voice, soft, haunting. Glass speaks to someone we don't yet see. Words soaked in memory and sorrow. A prayer, a plea, or maybe just the final thoughts of a man already dead. This is not just the beginning of a film. This is the invitation to witness the agony of staying alive. We are no longer watching. We are inside. Inside the bones of winter. Inside the breath of Hugh Glass. Inside the Revenant. The year is 1823. The place? Somewhere deep in the uncharted lands of the American frontier. Lands that belong to no flag and obey no king. Here, life isn't measured by time. It's measured by moments between death. Trappers move through the woods, not as conquerors, but as prey pretending to be hunters. They track beavers for fur, trade for metal and powder, and sleep with one eye open. Because in this land, enemies don't always carry weapons. Sometimes it's the water, sometimes it's the cold, and sometimes it's the man beside you. We meet the expedition. Silent men hardened by frost and greed. They share few words. They trust even fewer. Among them is a guide, a tracker. He doesn't speak much. His eyes speak for him. Hugh Glass, a man who walks not just through trees, but through memories. He's not here to survive. He's already done that. He's here for something else. Something quieter. Something more personal. And with him, always a step behind or beside, is a boy, his son Hawk, a half-native child in a white man's world. His presence is a reminder that the past never really dies. It walks beside us, just like the ghosts in Glass's eyes. The forest groans with the weight of silence. Birds do not sing. The river doesn't murmur. Everything holds its breath. And then, like lightning splitting the sky, chaos erupts. A storm of arrows slices through the fog. Men scream, fall, bleed into the dirt. Flesh is torn. Trees catch fire. Horses panic. It's not a battle. It's an execution. The Arikara warriors descend with precision and rage, defending their stolen lands, chasing their own ghosts of vengeance. No one is innocent here. Not the French traders, not the American trappers, and not even the land itself. We don't hear music. We hear pain. We hear war. The raw kind, the ancient kind. The kind that has no winners, only survivors. Glass grabs his son. His instincts take over. This is not the time for courage. This is the time for instinct. Captain Henry calls for retreat. The survivors scramble to the riverboats, abandoning everything. Gear, money, bodies. What was once an expedition becomes a nightmare set adrift. But Glass is not thinking about the future. He's thinking about the arrow that almost hit Hawk. He's thinking about the land, and how it never wanted them here in the first place. The trees whisper something only Glass can hear. He steps lightly, eyes scanning the underbrush, listening not with his ears, but with the silence between sounds. And then it happens. Not a roar, not a charge, just movement. Sudden, massive. The mother grizzly stands, towering like a living mountain. Her breath fogging the air like smoke from a furnace. She's not a monster. She's a mother. Her cubs are nearby. And to her, Glass is a threat. What unfolds is not a fight. It's a mauling. Glass doesn't stand a chance. She crashes down on him with primal fury, biting, slashing, pressing his body into the mud as if nature itself is reclaiming him. His rifle is useless. His screams vanish into the trees. The scene is long, painful, almost unbearable, not because of gore, but because of how real it feels. You feel every gasp, every bone snap, every second that death hesitates. He kills her eventually, or she dies trying. It doesn't matter, because Hugh Glass is no longer a man. He is a torn bag of bones and blood lying in a grave of leaves. Breathing, barely, but breathing. The others find him, and what they see terrifies them. He's alive, but broken beyond repair. His neck is slashed. His body is shredded. His eyes drift between this world and another. Captain Henry knows time is short. The Urukara are tracking them. They can't carry a corpse, so he asks for volunteers to stay with Glass until he dies, then give him a proper burial. Fitzgerald and Bridger stay behind. Two men, two different hearts. Bridger is young, naive, still believes in decency. Fitzgerald? He believes in one thing only, himself. As days pass, Glass doesn't die. He fights silently, helplessly, stubbornly. And that's what frightens Fitzgerald the most, because a man who refuses to die is dangerous. So Fitzgerald makes a choice. He tells Bridger to leave, kills Hawk in cold blood, and buries Glass alive in a shallow grave, surrounded by trees too silent to protest. But Glass is not gone. Beneath the soil, his soul refuses to surrender. He claws through the earth, pulling himself out of death like a creature reborn. This isn't revenge yet. This is resurrection. Glass doesn't walk. He drags. He slides over mud, ice, bone, and stone. Every inch forward is agony. His throat burns with infection. His limbs are dead weight. His flesh rots. But he moves, because he has to. He drinks from frozen puddles. He eats snow, roots, carrion. He sleeps inside a dead horse, literally climbing into the gut of death just to see another sunrise. He hallucinates. His wife, long dead, appears in soft whispers. She doesn't speak, but her eyes burn through him. His son stands in fire, in snow, in dreams, calling him forward. The world has become quiet, not because there is peace, but because there is no one left to listen. The frontier doesn't help him. The sky doesn't bless him. But something inside Glass, call it rage, love, or sheer animal will, refuses to stop. Because he's not crawling toward life. He's crawling toward Fitzgerald. And Fitzgerald has no idea what's coming. Glass's injuries are beyond repair. He can't walk. He can barely breathe. The group decides he won't make it. Captain Henry, their leader, makes a painful choice. Leave him behind. But two volunteers stay. Young Bridger and Fitzgerald, the man whose heart beats only for survival. What happens next is betrayal in its purest form. Fitzgerald lies, kills Hawk, then buries Glass alive in a shallow grave. And just like that, the world forgets him. But he remembers everything. What follows is not just survival. It's punishment. Glass drags his broken body through frozen mud. He drinks melted snow, eats raw meat. He sets his own throat with gunpowder. He fights through infection, hallucination, and despair. Every breath is pain. Every moment is suffering. But his rage is stronger than death. He doesn't crawl to live. He crawls to find Fitzgerald. As Glass journeys through the wilderness, we begin to see the true character of the land. Mountains loom like gods. Forests whisper ancient secrets. Storms come and go like moods of a restless sky. The film was shot with only natural light, giving each frame a ghostly realism. We're not watching a movie. We're being pulled into the earth itself, into the raw, unfiltered beauty of nature and its cruelty. In moments of quiet, Glass dreams. He sees his wife, murdered in the past. He sees Hawk as a child. He sees himself, before everything broke. These visions are not flashbacks. They are hauntings. They are the reason he keeps moving, and the reason he wishes he could stop. The Revenant doesn't give us speeches. It gives us feelings. It lets silence speak louder than screams. Glass is not only hunted by the cold or the beasts. He's hunted by man. The French, the Urkara, the very people he once called comrades. Human greed becomes more dangerous than any predator. And in every encounter, we see how civilization has no place here. Ironically, it is a lone Pawnee man who helps save Glass. Not for reward, not for power, but out of shared pain. Because even in hell, kindness still survives. Finally, the two men meet again, Glass and Fitzgerald. As Glass journeys through the wilderness, we begin to see the true character of the land. Mountains loom like gods. Forests whisper ancient secrets. Storms come and go like moods of a restless sky. The film was shot with only natural light, giving each frame a ghostly realism. We're not watching a movie. We're being pulled into the earth itself, into the raw, unfiltered beauty of nature and its cruelty. In moments of quiet, Glass dreams. He sees his wife, murdered in the past. He sees Hawk as a child. He sees himself, before everything broke. These visions are not flashbacks. They are hauntings. They are the reason he keeps moving, and the reason he wishes he could stop. The Revenant doesn't give us speeches. It gives us feelings. It lets silence speak louder than screams. Glass is not only hunted by the cold or the beasts. He's hunted by man. The French, the Urkara, the very people he once called comrades. Human greed becomes more dangerous than any predator. And in every encounter, we see how civilization has no place here. Ironically, it is a lone Pawnee man who helps save Glass. Not for reward, not for power, but out of shared pain. Because even in hell, kindness still survives. Finally, the two men meet again, Glass and Fitzgerald. As Glass journeys through the wilderness, we begin to see the true character of the land. Mountains loom like gods. Forests whisper ancient secrets. Storms come and go like moods of a restless sky. The film was shot with only natural light, giving each frame a ghostly realism. We're not watching a movie. We're being pulled into the earth itself, into the raw, unfiltered beauty of nature and its cruelty. In moments of quiet, Glass dreams. He sees his wife, murdered in the past. He sees Hawk as a child. He sees himself, before everything broke. These visions are not flashbacks. They are hauntings. They are the reason he keeps moving, and the reason he wishes he could stop. The Revenant doesn't give us speeches. It gives us feelings. It lets silence speak louder than screams. Glass is not only hunted by the cold or the beasts. He's hunted by man. The French, the Urkara, the very people he once called comrades. Human greed becomes more dangerous than any predator. And in every encounter, we see how civilization has no place here. Ironically, it is a lone Pawnee man who helps save Glass. Not for reward, not for power, but out of shared pain. Because even in hell, kindness still survives. Finally, the two men meet again, Glass and Fitzgerald. As Glass journeys through the wilderness, we begin to see the true character of the land. Mountains loom like gods. Forests whisper ancient secrets. Storms come and go like moods of a restless sky. The film was shot with only natural light, giving each frame a ghostly realism. We're not watching a movie. We're being pulled into the earth itself, into the raw, unfiltered beauty of nature and its cruelty. In moments of quiet, Glass dreams. He sees his wife, murdered in the past. He sees Hawk as a child. He sees himself, before everything broke. These visions are not flashbacks. They are hauntings. They are the reason he keeps moving, and the reason he wishes he could stop. The Revenant doesn't give us speeches. It gives us feelings. It lets silence speak louder than screams. Glass is not only hunted by the cold or the beasts. He's hunted by man. The French, the Urkara, the very people he once called comrades. Human greed becomes more dangerous than any predator. And in every encounter, we see how civilization has no place here. Ironically, it is a lone Pawnee man who helps save Glass. Not for reward, not for power, but out of shared pain. Because even in hell, kindness still survives. Finally, the two men meet again, Glass and Fitzgerald. As Glass journeys through the wilderness, we begin to see the true character of the land. Mountains loom like gods. Forests whisper ancient secrets. Storms come and go like moods of a restless sky. The film was shot with only natural light, giving each frame a ghostly realism. We're not watching a movie. We're being pulled into the earth itself, into the raw, unfiltered beauty of nature and its cruelty. In moments of quiet, Glass dreams. He sees his wife, murdered in the past. He sees Hawk as a child. He sees himself, before everything broke. These visions are not flashbacks. They are hauntings. They are the reason he keeps moving, and the reason he wishes he could stop. The Revenant doesn't give us speeches. It gives us feelings. It lets silence speak louder than screams. Glass is not only hunted by the cold or the beasts. He's hunted by man. The French, the Urkara, the very people he once called comrades. Human greed becomes more dangerous than any predator. And in every encounter, we see how civilization has no place here. Ironically, it is a lone Pawnee man who helps save Glass. Not for reward, not for power, but out of shared pain. Because even in hell, kindness still survives. Finally, the two men meet again, Glass and Fitzgerald. No heroism, no music, no glory, just blood, snow, breath, and a question. Does killing him bring peace? Glass hesitates, and then he lets the river decide, not out of mercy, but because vengeance is a prison, and he's finally ready to walk away. The Revenant ends as it began, in silence. Glass looks into the camera. We don't hear his thoughts. We don't need to. He has returned, not just from death, but from rage, from despair, from the edge of losing what makes him human. In the end, The Revenant is about a man who was broken, who crawled through hell, not to get revenge, but to remember who he was before the world forgot him. Before we hear a single word, we feel it. The cold, the silence, the whisper of the wind brushing against lifeless branches in a frozen land that seems untouched by time. It's not just a place, it's a presence. We're not stepping into a story. We're stepping into a living nightmare, painted in white blood and shadow. The Revenant is not a movie about survival. It's a story about being forgotten and refusing to vanish. And from the very first frame, That message is carved into every image. A man lies broken in the woods. But this is not the end. It's the beginning of a slow, painful resurrection. We are in 1823, deep in the American frontier. This isn't the romantic Wild West. It's a lawless expanse where survival isn't a right. It's a gamble. Nature is brutal, merciless, and unmoved by human ambition. Here, fur trappers hunt for profit, not glory, and conflict brews, not just with the land, but with native tribes defending their home. In this unforgiving world, we meet Hugh Glass, a man of few words but many scars. A tracker, a guide, a man who has lived long enough to understand that the land takes more than it gives. But still, he walks it, silently, purposefully, with a past too heavy to speak of, and a future that's already slipping away. Among the trappers, Glass is not alone. By his side is his son, Hawk, a boy of mixed heritage, caught between two worlds, never fully accepted by either. Their bond is quiet, but deep. A glance, a gesture, a whisper in their native tongue. They are all each other has left, in a world full of men hardened by greed and fear. Glass's only softness is for his son. It is this love that will later turn into the fuel for vengeance. Suddenly, the silence is shattered. A violent ambush erupts, a rain of arrows cutting through flesh and fear. A tribe of Urukara warriors attacks the trapping camp, swift and brutal. No warning, no mercy. Men die where they stand. Others flee, dragging their wounded behind them. Blood spills over snow. And once again, nature watches indifferent. The survivors escape downriver, cold, shaken, hunted. Among them, tension rises, not just between man and nature, but man and man, especially between Glass and Fitzgerald. What comes next is the stuff of cinematic legend. Glass, scouting ahead, stumbles into the territory of a grizzly bear and her cubs. There is no buildup, no warning, just a roar. And then chaos. The bear is not a monster. She's a mother, protecting her own. But to Glass, it is an avalanche of claws, teeth, and agony. The scene unfolds in terrifying realism. No music, no cuts, just Glass, torn apart by nature incarnate. His body is shredded, his voice is gone, but his soul still clings on. Glass moves through the world like a phantom. No footsteps, no words, just breath, frost, and blood. He's not truly alive, but not yet dead. The land changes around him. Forests give way to mountains. Rivers freeze beneath his body. He sees camps, fires, distant shadows. People pass nearby, but none stop to help. Because in this world, mercy is a luxury, and kindness can get you killed. Then, out of nowhere, salvation appears in the most unlikely form. A Pawnee man, a stranger, a survivor. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't speak of justice or pity. He simply shares food, offers warmth, treats wounds with ancient medicine and quiet gestures. It's a reminder, not all hope is lost. In their camp, they sit beneath the moon. No words, just silence. And in that silence, for the first time in days, Glass isn't crawling. He's healing. The Pawnee says one thing before he leaves. Revenge is in the Creator's hands, not man's. Glass doesn't answer, because some wounds don't believe in gods. The nights grow colder, and with each one, Glass begins to lose his grip. Not on life, but on reality. He dreams of his wife, her long hair floating like smoke in the wind. He sees her at the base of a burning tree, flames that make no sound, snow that falls upward. She doesn't move. She only looks, and in her gaze is both comfort and mourning. He reaches for her, but wakes up to frost covering his skin. These aren't just dreams. They are hauntings, visions that remind him not of who he is, but who he used to be. A father, a husband, a man who once believed in something more than survival. Now, all that remains is the void inside him, not just carved by pain, but by purpose. Glass is no longer crawling because of rage. He is being pulled by memory, dragged by love that was taken, and the fury that followed. As Glass descends from the mountains, he enters something worse than wilderness. Civilization. He stumbles upon a French for camp, rowdy, violent, and lawless. The men laugh, drink, abuse. They've captured a young Arikara woman. They treat her like an object, a prize. Glass sees it, watches, then vanishes into the shadows. Later, he returns, not to fight, but to free her. A silent rescue, a quiet justice. He steals a horse, escapes again, but the horse runs off a cliff, shattering both of them. Still he crawls. This cycle repeats. Rescue, loss, survival, silence. Until it becomes clear that there is no justice in this world. Only men trying to outlast the cruelty of each other. Glass is no longer a hunter. He is the hunted, by pain, by time, by fate, and still he endures. The road ends where it began. With Fitzgerald, Glass finally returns to Fort Kiowa, bruised, broken, and barely recognizable. He tells the captain what happened. The lies, the murder, the betrayal. And then, he rides out again. Not with an army, not with guns. Alone, he finds Fitzgerald in the woods, hiding like a rat beneath the teeth of winter. Their eyes meet. Neither man flinches, because this was always meant to happen. The fight is not elegant. It is raw, clumsy, bitter. Fitzgerald cuts. Glass bleeds. They roll through snow, locked in hatred. There is no music, no slow motion, just breath, just hate. And then, Glass stands over him, his knife raised. Fitzgerald, gasping, begging. The wind howls like a beast between them. But then, something changes. Glass remembers the Pawnee's words. Revenge is in the Creator's hands. He drags Fitzgerald to the river, pushes him downstream, into the hands of the Arikara. Not mercy, not forgiveness, just release. Because some justice cannot come from man. The fight is over. The blood has dried. But Glass does not celebrate. He does not smile. He does not cry. He stumbles through the trees, his eyes empty, his body swaying like a ghost in the fog. He has won. But what has he reclaimed? His son is gone. His family is ash. His soul is colder than the wind that surrounds him. This is not a story of revenge. It's a story of what revenge leaves behind. In the end, the only thing Glass has left is himself, and even that feels like a burden. He stands still, breathing, looking into the abyss, into us. There are no words, because what is there to say? He has returned from the cold, from the grave, from the worst parts of man and nature. He has come back, not as who he was, but as what he has become, a revenant, a soul that died and crawled its way back through pain, blood, and silence. This final moment is not about triumph. It's not even about survival. It is about the price of holding on and the cost of letting go. As the camera holds on his eyes, you feel it, you carry it, and then the screen fades to white.